Chapter 11 is about mobile operating systems. I know you're all familiar with mobile devices because you all have one, but there's some other things in this chapter that I think are valuable, specifically BYOD. So we're going to talk a lot about that. And then a little bit about how to configure these different kinds of devices. So let's first talk about BYOD. So in the 80s, portable computers were really heavy. We've got some of them down in the Lab 303 up on the shelf. Has like this little handle, but it weighs, 40 pounds. So we had Ethernet, we had dial-up connections. Wireless was not really an option. So now we have much more portability. We have much faster data transfer to deal with. So bring your own device has become part of the corporate culture. So with or without your permission, you bring your own device to work, and you do use it a lot for work functions. Now, there's a lot of things that come with that are part of this trend. So if you're, for example, if you're using your mobile device for work purposes, did you get reimbursed for it? Is there some sort of subsidizing of that cost? Do they pay for the device, or do they pay for part of it, or do they pay for your data plan? And is it required? What if it's required to have a mobile device, but you're not compensated for it in some way? There's lots of different versions of this. Well, if you're using bring your own device, let's say that no matter what, the employer allows you to bring in your own device, whether it's a laptop, a MacBook, a tablet, and they allow you to do your work on that. So in general, you'll get quicker response from your employees, sometimes after hours. As long as you have your cell phone in your hand, they will write back. It will save the employer the cost of the device, so they don't have to purchase a computer for you to work on because you're bringing your own. Some jobs require or benefit from different kinds of mobile devices. So that if I'm on my lunch break and someone says there's a student that needs to advise you, they need you to advise them, and they call me, I can leave and come back without them having to sit and wait an hour for lunch to be over with. If you're using BYOD, it may attract some of the more tech-savvy people. In lots of commercial environments, they do not really have the capability to use a MacBook, but maybe in a more tech-savvy environment, they would. Employees are inclined to work a little bit longer if they're using their own device because they're not as frustrated with its operation. And a lot of times job training can be delivered to those mobile devices. Now the problem with BYOD, it's an interesting concept because at first glance you would think, well, why don't we just let people bring whatever device they're familiar with and they'll just do their best work on it. But there are lots of corporate security policies in place because where is the division between your personal data and the company's data? That is very muddy with this BYOD. There may be some violation of government regulations. For example, you wouldn't necessarily want someone in the health profession using their own personal tablet and then taking that tablet home with them and maybe having the ability to pull it up away from the health environment. If it's lost or stolen, that could put the employer at risk, especially looking at the health industry and the HIPAA requirements. That could be a problem. They may leave the job site with some sort of sensitive data. And it's unclear who exactly owns anything that's created on the device. So if it's my personal device and I write a textbook on it, is it the intellectual property of the business or of me? And that can depend. So it's an interesting concept to think about. But now to the employees, if they're going to do BYOD, they have to purchase their own device instead of having something be given to them. And I don't know about y'all, but when I started my first real job, I was coming out of college and I didn't have any money. Certainly not enough money to buy a brand new computer to go to work with. So there's added voice and data usage for those devices. There's privacy issues. And there's the risk of your device getting confiscated. So if an employer or a law enforcement agency confiscates your device for some sort of work-related reason, you're out whatever your personal device is. And that can happen In some instances, if the law has been broken, they might seize that. I can tell you it happens in a corporate environment because I've seen that happen before. If something illegal goes on a company computer, the police will take that with them. So there is a risk that the person might end up losing their device. So again, some of the concerns to think about: who owns that intellectual property that's created? What about security policies? So security policies are going to be different for a desktop computer that always stays at work versus something portable that you can take home with you. And how are we going to enforce those security requirements? They have geographic capabilities on things that access health records. So once you get outside the hospital, you're no longer able to access those records. How and when is that employer data getting backed up? Is there some sort of video and audio recording that needs to be allowed during work? And is the employer going to track their location? So even things as far as security policies, a phone should have some sort of passcode, right? You shouldn't be able to just click a button on the phone and be able to get into it. So what policy do we put in place for that? Do we say that they need to have a fingerprint, a simple PIN number, which is only 4 digits, which is really pretty easy to guess? It's probably somebody's birthday or anniversary or their kid's birthday, right? Some sort of complex password with a whole bunch of characters in it, or some sort of finger swipe. There's lots of different ways to enforce security. How are we going to determine what that person can and can't do, and what we consider to be secure or not? There's different options to manage this bring your own device culture. We want our devices to be useful to the employees that are using them so they will do their job, right? We can enforce policies with those with what's called mobile device management software. I'm going to show you something on that in a second. We can virtualize our apps so that everything's being viewed online and everything's being current and backed up, or we can make them available via a portal. So here's a little bit about mobile device management. I have to click.
The use of mobile devices has skyrocketed in the last few years, and the trend is growing. According to IDC, the smartphone market is already larger than the PC market, outselling PCs since late 2010. The bottom line, mobile devices are here to stay. The answer, mobile device management, or MDM. Our MDM controls allow the 5 main areas of mobile device management in one complete lifecycle solution: enrollment, configuration, collection, security, and service. Enrollment. MDM only works if the end user is enrolled. With our MDM solution, we can rapidly register new or existing devices over the air using flexible enrollment options. We can also use automated QR codes, which enable point-and-click enrollment, instantly provide web portal links through email, and utilize text messaging to directly enroll those SMS notifications. Configuration. Our flexible configuration options allow us to instantly set up common configurations across all your mobile devices. For instance, it's easy to configure your employees' Microsoft Exchange or personal email settings. Plus, we can set up Wi-Fi access and VPN client connection settings, ensuring your employee and company-owned devices are properly configured. Collection. Gathering information about enrolled mobile devices ensures compliance as well as aiding in determining performance issues. Using our MDM solution, we can provide you with detailed device type info for smartphones or tablets, hardware inventory such as memory and hard drive space, as well as a listing of installed apps. Security. Our MDM solution demystifies mobile technology security by allowing us to intuitively provision and enforce security policies. We can define passcode and complexity requirements, define auto-lock settings, and apply system restrictions and other access settings, such as restricting the use of the device's camera in HIPAA or restricted environments. Service. The core feature of any MDM system is to administer devices and support users. Our MDM solution simplifies the process by enabling us to centrally manage all mobile devices across all your company sites. We can Remotely reset passcodes, lock devices, or wipe devices. Create dynamic mobile device groups with automatic service actions. Report on mobile devices managed across all company sites. Don't wait. Try mobile device management. Contact us today to get started.
So that, of course, is an advertisement, but that does show you a little bit about how those things can be controlled in that environment to ensure that they're not breaking any company or government regulation by using them. Okay, so let's talk about configuring devices. So most smartphones and tablets are going to require some sort of account to use them. With Android devices, it's a Google account, an Apple ID, or a Microsoft account.
I'm sure I can figure it out.
So these allow you to sync between devices. So you have an Apple ID on your MacBook, you have an Apple ID on your iPhone. When you download an app in one place, it shows up on the other, things like that. So if I have a work email address, that means I have a sync set up so the contacts on my phone are the contacts that are in my email. I've done that, by the way. It's totally awesome. You don't ever lose your contacts that way because it's always synced with something. An Apple ID means it remembers my album purchases because they're tied to that account. So when I went and got a new iPhone 2 days ago, since everything was sunk, they pulled up iCloud and I started, initiated a restore, and everything was back exactly the way it was before, except this time my phone didn't stink.
The best thing about syncing your devices is naming one of them Titanic.
Titanic is sinking, yes. So here's what creating a Google account looks like. You already have them because we use Google Apps here at the school. Here's an Apple ID page. I know you all have those because we did that in class. And here's Microsoft, creating a Microsoft account. And depending on the device is what it will be asking for. If you're going to sign up with a cellular network, you have to have a provider, your AT&T or Verizon and the like. So each device has to have a subscriber identity module card or a SIM card. I didn't know what SIM stood for. I've just been saying SIM card all these years. In a tablet, you can add a Wi-Fi card to it and then be able to use it on the cellular network, but it's going to have another data plan attached to it. When you connect to a cellular network, you're going to have a welcome screen, ask you to sign in. You get to customize things and personalize your device. When you connect to Wi-Fi, normally, once you set up a network once on a device, it will remember all the credentials when you come to it again. So you're going to scan the network, it's going to show all the things that are detected, select it, enter your login settings. You want to use Wi-Fi as much as possible to keep from having high data costs. Of course, there are some security issues with using free public Wi-Fi. If you were to go to McDonald's or Starbucks, use their Wi-Fi, I could go sit, with a laptop with Wireshark or something on it and capture all the packets on the network if I just wanted to. So be aware when you're using free public Wi-Fi that maybe not everybody's intent is non-malicious. So here we are in an Apple device configuring our Wi-Fi. Sometimes the SSID, the ID for the network, will be hidden to try to keep people from just trying to join it. So you'd have to know all the credentials, including the network name, to be able to access it. You can turn off your cellular data altogether. This Verizon MiFi device is a cellular hotspot, so you can have multiple mobile devices share that same cellular connection. Hotspot is another thing we hear it called. Other people can connect to it as well. So as long as you have cell service, you have internet connection. Tethering is sharing a cellular data connection with something that doesn't necessarily have cellular data capability. So this is a one-to-one. So I can turn tethering on my iPhone and then look on my laptop, scan for the network, and see the network and use its cellular data through that connection. So when you're in a pinch, sometimes tethering really helps you. Bluetooth connection. Bluetooth is the standard for a very, very short distance. So 3 meters or about 33 feet. I have Microsoft Sync in my car, and it syncs Bluetooth to my iPhone so that I can listen to music and make calls, talk hands-free and stuff like that. Headsets, keyboards are things that are very commonly Bluetooth because they're all in your personal area network, your network around the computer. You have to discover the devices and pair them together. It's recommended that when you're not using Bluetooth, you turn it off because other things could connect to you through Bluetooth and potentially steal your contact list. Don't steal my contact list, Omar.
And NFC, right?
Yes, we're gonna get there, okay? I never turn Bluetooth off, and I know it's really, I just never do it. So when you're pairing a device, it's gonna pop up and say, here's the code I'm giving you. And then on the other device, it's gonna, can you confirm that you're pairing up to the right device? Because two things could turn on Bluetooth at the same time and maybe give the wrong numbers. So this is checking that. With NFC, the device has to include an NFC or near field communication chipset. Then you'll position the device close and they share data. Apple Pay uses this so that you can purchase with it. There's an app named Wallet, and you put all your credit card information in it, and then it transfers that via NFC to the touchpad. iPhone 6 or newer has that Touch ID feature. You can also turn your phone on airplane mode, which basically turns off all the radio signals, your cellular, your Bluetooth, your NFC, so you can still kind of play on apps, you can still use the phone and stuff, but you can't do anything that requires some kind of radio signal. Okay, configuring email on a mobile device, you're going to add your account. A lot of times it already knows some of the common settings for common carriers, and you're going to give in your login information. You can use your browser to connect to your email. You can use the built-in webmail on your phone. My preference, since I use Gmail for everywhere, is to download the Gmail app because to me it's a little more user-friendly and I don't have to plug in any settings. All I have to go do is sign in and it all looks the same everywhere. And there's lots of options for things like that depending on what kind of account you're using. You'll need your incoming protocol, whether it's popped through your IMAP, and you'll need the server name for it. So a lot of times, like it's imap.gmail.com, imap.gmail.com, smtp.gmail.com, but sometimes they'll have something that's not quite that obvious. Looking on this mobile OS, this is an iPad, it'll have some pre-made things that it will go ahead and add in the information for you, or you can put it in manually by choosing other. So for a POP email account, here we have the email address, and you can see the host name is pop.domain.com. On an Android device, it looks very similar. The different kinds of accounts that you can sign in with. On a Windows phone, it's Microsoft or everything else, right? Not terribly surprising. This is the Apple App Store, so on anything with an iPhone and iPad, this is where you would go to download apps. Nice and securely programmed apps. Updating mobile apps, you'll see the little badge that pops up on the corner. Why do we update apps?
So it can be easy to join.
What was that? Why do we update apps? Bugs, to fix bugs, that's a big one, right? Fix bugs, get cool new stuff. That's pretty much it. New features. Just like we do on our operating system on our PC, if there's some sort of security flaw, they release some sort of patch that's supposed to fix it. When you want to sync your devices, you can use a USB cable, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or internet. So we synchronize certain data between devices. So we have one true copy, not two different copies they have some variation between them. One was saved before the other or something like that. With Android devices, we can sync to a PC or laptop. It shows up as a drive, and we can just manually copy files in between that, or we can back up our contact information and sync them up with our Gmail address like we were talking about. With an iOS device on a Mac or PC, unfortunately, you have to use iTunes to do it, and that's awful. Now everything can sync to iCloud, though, and back up automatically, so that's much more preferable than plugging it in. And you can use backup to sync your Windows phone. Okay? For security, we can use some sort of inexpensive security suite. Some devices require you to have an antivirus. Android devices require you to have an antivirus. Or anti-spam, some sort of browsing protection. That's even available on iOS. It allows you to back up. If you lose your device, it will tell you where. A lot of these features are built in. So patching, you can turn on updates, and it will show you the number of updates. Click that and get the latest version of what you're using. You can update the software to the entire computer, just like we would do on our Windows updates. We can set up a lock screen it calls it pocket dialing, but that's really butt dialing, right? You butt dial somebody. The lock screen can be secured in different ways. Here's an example of this is actually updated since then. You can do a lot more with the passcodes. You can make a 4-digit, a 6-digit. You can put an entire password in and make that be what you have to do to unlock the phone. Here's the more complex, here we go, the 6-digit code, an alphanumeric code, or a custom code. One of the cool things that the droids do is you can do like a finger, so you can swipe it a certain way to unlock it. Patterns, yeah, that's cool.
That is cool.
Here's what it looks like. Here's a 6-digit passcode. And lock screen you can enable or disable with a little slider. Location settings are fun. Y'all, I'm really hard on phones. I dropped one in the toilet. I put one on top of my car and then drove off. I lost one in the bathroom at Catfish Express.
Have you ran
Really
over it yet?
hard. Huh?
Have you ran over yours yet?
I've not ran over it,
Yeah,
no. Yeah, I'm really hard on phones.
I actually disproved a myth by
Okay.
running over. Nokias can break.
Oh, really? If you run over them with a vehicle?
Yeah, if you run over them enough times, yeah, that'll break.
There you go. There you go. These location settings become very handy for instances like that. So some apps may require you to actually keep your location, but they have GPS features and things. If you lose a device and you want to locate it, let's say you put it on top of your car and then you drove off and it fell off the car, then you could use the GPS to go find it, and it will play a tone so that you can, go along the road and find where you left it. That was my husband's phone too. That wasn't even mine. That's bad. So you can enable and disable that on each device. In Android, here's what that looks like, your location history, and then location services. This is just so apps know where you are. Some of those things are useful, like Zillow. If I want to look for houses close to where I am, I let Zillow use my location, and then I can see what houses are around me if I'm driving around looking for a new house. So with Android, we call it Device Manager, Samsung, Find My Mobile, Apple iCloud, Find My iPhone, and Microsoft, Find My Phone. So these are all the things where it looks up the device with GPS, makes a sound so you can find it. If you can't find it because you left it in the bathroom at Catfish Express and somebody else picked it up because it's not there anymore, you can remotely wipe the phone so that they don't get access to any of your stuff. So basically it's their phone now, right? So you can use those to find your phone, and here's Find My iPad being turned on, which are very nice features. If you have a lost device, you can log into iCloud on a computer or another device and then let it find the previous one. And it even goes so far as to put it on a map, and you can play a sound or erase it remotely from this portal, which is interesting. Here's settings for Find My Phone.